I'm Leanne, 36, and if you ask anyone in Portland's upper crust, they'll tell you the Hartwells are the kind of family others envy. Old money with a modern face. Marble floors. Charitable foundations. Legacy dripping from every polished corner of our name. But they won't mention me. I'm the youngest. The complication. The whisper they don't include in press releases. My brother Evan was bred to inherit. I was born to disappear quietly. It never really bothered me, until the night they proved that some lives are worth less than the floral budget of an engagement party. My tires screamed against wet asphalt as I swerved up the driveway. Rain punched the windshield like it had a grudge. My fingers gripped the wheel until the skin split open at the knuckles. The mansion glowed like a cathedral of lies. I parked crooked and ran. Inside, crystal chandeliers. A live string quartet. Women in couture. Champagne towers glimmering like altars. And at the center of it all, Evan, my brother, the golden boy, with his fiancée perched on his arm like a designer bag. No one noticed the soaked woman gasping in the doorway. No one but her. Margaret Hartwell, my mother, saw me first. Her smile flickered, died. She broke from her circle of guests and crossed the ballroom with the precision of someone used to cutting through people. Leanne, what are you doing here? I need to talk to you.
Now.
Not tonight. Her nails bit into my forearm. This is Evan's night. This can't wait. A shadow passed behind her. My father, Richard Hartwell, emerged from the crowd, stiff-jawed in his tailored tux. Let's go to the study, he muttered. Before you make a scene.
Cut scene.
We moved through the house like a secret being erased. The door shut with a heavy thud. I stood dripping on antique Persian wool. Water pooled beneath me like guilt. She collapsed, I said. My voice cracked.
Emma.
At school. They rushed her to the ER. My father didn't flinch. My mother's eyes darted to the water on the floor. She has a congenital heart defect. They need to operate within 24 hours. The surgery costs $95,000. I don't have that. Silence. I let it fill the room, thick and ugly. My mother finally spoke, adjusting the cuff of her silk blouse like it mattered more than my child's heartbeat. Surely there's a hospital fund or some government thing. I tried. There's no time. My voice trembled.
Please, help me.
She's your granddaughter. Dad exhaled, slow, measured. We've committed everything to Evan's wedding. Deposits. The venue. The press coverage. Press coverage? I choked. She could die. Evan's voice cut in from the hallway. Jesus, cease. Always the drama. He stepped into the doorway, holding a champagne flute like a dagger made of glass. You couldn't wait 24 hours before crashing the party? I didn't crash it. I walked in with the last hope I had. My knees hit the rug. The old kind of pain. The one I promised myself I'd never feel again. I've never asked you for anything, I whispered. Not when my business failed. Not when Nate left. Not when I had to choose between rent and groceries. But I'm asking now. I looked up. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father cleared his throat. Leanne, he said, as if offering a condolence card, you should have planned better. There are moments that bend something inside you so far it never goes back. This was mine. I stood, hands clenched. Something in me calcified. I reached for my mother's wrist. She flinched. I unclasped the sapphire bracelet she once promised would be mine when I grew into my potential. I closed her hand around it. I don't need your jewelry. I needed your humanity. She looked stunned, like someone had slapped her in public. And maybe I had. I walked back into the ballroom. Heads turned. Murmurs rose. Isn't that the sister? The one with the kid? Such a shame. Poor Evan. No one stopped me. Outside, the rain hadn't let up. It howled against the world like it knew something was breaking. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. A message from the hospital. Emma was stable.
For now.
Another ping. Unknown number. She shouldn't have been born. And neither should you. I stared at the screen. A shiver split my spine. If they won't save her, I'll find out why they were so ready to let her die. The fluorescent lights in the ER waiting area felt too bright, too white. They washed everything out: color, time, hope. I stared at the plastic chair opposite me like it might turn into something solid I could punch. Emma was stable.
For now.
But stable was a coin toss. I needed 95 grand. I had less than 24 hours. I stood, walked to the admin desk. The nurse with the pink hair looked up. I need the insurance file for Emma Hartwell, I said. There's been a mistake. She frowned, clicked a few keys. Her brow furrowed. Her policy was cancelled.
No.
That's not right. I was covered. Another tap. A printer spat out a sheet. She slid it toward me. There it was. Termination date. 3 weeks ago. My name. My supposed signature. I never signed that. I want the original authorization request, I said. Every login, timestamp, access ID. The nurse glanced around, lowered her voice. You'll need to speak with billing. I nodded, turned to leave. Ms. Hartwell, she called after me. I don't think this was a system glitch.
Cut scene.
Downstairs, billing smelled like carpet glue and coffee from last Tuesday. A man named Garrett pulled up the file. I leaned in, heart racing. Termination was processed from a private liaison portal, he said. That's reserved for high net worth accounts, legacy families. Your employer must have had access. My family had access, I said.
No employer. No proxy.
Just me. Garrett hesitated. Well, someone submitted this. With internal credentials. I wrote down the name of someone I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. Claire Rowe.
Cut scene.
I called her from the parking lot. It rang once.
Twice.
She picked up.
Leanne? Wow.
It's been. I need help. I explained everything in 60 seconds. Emma's condition. The file. The forged signature. My parents' silence. Claire didn't ask why I was coming to her. She just said, send me the paperwork. Give me 1 hour.
Cut.
I sat in my car. Rain smeared across the windshield like dirty paint. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Dig too deep and you'll find what should have stayed buried. My hands clenched. I'd heard threats before, but this wasn't a threat. It was a warning. I drove back to the hospital, walked past the security guard with the lazy eye, stepped into Emma's room. Still breathing.
Still mine.
You know, I whispered, people always say blood is thicker than water, but it drowns you faster. Her tiny fingers curled, even in sleep.
Cut.
An hour later, Claire called. I got into the metalogs. Someone altered your policy using third-party access. Not from your phone. Not from your IP. They used a financial rep's back channel. I froze. What rep? Name registered to a family office. Hartwell Capital Trust. Of course. Claire's voice dropped.
Leanne.
This wasn't a clerical error. This was intentional. Everything in me went still. This wasn't just neglect. This was premeditated. Someone wanted Emma uncovered. Someone wanted me desperate. I'm going to request the packet from the hospital's legal team, Claire said. But you should brace yourself. What for? Because if this was orchestrated, it probably wasn't just about money.
Cut.
I paced the hallway. Security camera above the elevator blinked red. I turned away from it. Everywhere I looked, I felt watched. My phone buzzed again. Same number. She was never part of the plan. I turned. A nurse in green scrubs passed behind me. Had she looked too long?
No.
Paranoia is survival with sharper edges.
Type fast. Who are you?
No reply.
Cut scene.
Claire sent over a metadata breakdown. Access came from a secure terminal. Time-stamped 2 days before Evan's engagement announcement. Someone was planning ahead. Someone didn't just want me out of the way. They wanted me financially eliminated before the news hit public record. Because once the family name was back in the papers, they couldn't afford a scandal.
Couldn't afford me.
Couldn't afford her. I stared at the final line of the file.
Digital signature, MWH.
Margaret Wynne Hartwell. My mother. My spine turned to ice. The phone buzzed again. No number. Just a video file. I opened it.
Emma.
In her hospital bed. Breathing. Peaceful. Then, the door creaked open behind her. A shadow moved. The video cut out. Someone didn't just bet against my daughter's life. They engineered the odds. I hit play. The timestamp. 1 hour ago. Emma's room. A figure entered in scrubs. Face partially turned. They moved to her fore, adjusted nothing, lingered. Then, they reached into their coat.
Pulled out a phone.
Took a picture.
Left.
My chest locked. I rewound.
Paused.
Zoomed on the face.
Blurry.
But familiar.
Jawline.
The watch. Evan. My brother. Claire called immediately. I triple-checked. That footage wasn't stored in the public server. Someone tried to delete it from internal records. My blood turned electric. Send me the raw file. You think Evan's behind this? I think he's involved. And I think he doesn't know I know.
Cut.
Outside, the rain was back. Needles against glass. I opened my trunk. Dug out the old duffel. Inside, flash drive, burner phone, a lockbox with papers I hadn't touched since my divorce. You don't grow up in the Hartwell family without keeping escape plans. I grabbed the burner. Texted a number I hadn't used in 4 years.
Nate.
My ex-husband. Former cyber fraud investigator.
Disgraced. Brilliant.
Dangerous. They're coming for her. I need your help. No questions.
Sent.
Another message came in before I could blink. Unknown number. No text. Just an image.
Me.
Sitting in Emma's room. Taken from above. Security camera angle. Except, that camera had been off for weeks. I knew because I'd asked to review footage earlier that day, and the nurse said it was under maintenance. This angle wasn't hospital issued. It was someone else's. Private. Hidden. Someone had eyes on me even here. My phone buzzed again. You were warned. Then it powered off. Battery. 83%.
Dead. Cut.
I backed away from the bed. Looked around the room. 2 nurses passed outside. Were they watching me? Were they being watched? Paranoia is a survival tool disguised as fear. I grabbed my coat. Left the room. Hit the elevator.
Door slid open.
Inside, empty. I stepped in. Then stopped. Something shimmered on the floor. A piece of paper. I picked it up.
Typed. No lettereado. No logo.
Just 1 line. She was never supposed to live long enough to matter.
The door closed.
She won't take my daughter and walk away. Not this time. The rain hadn't let up. It smeared across my windshield like paint in the dark, hiding the edges of the road as I climbed back up the hill toward the Hartwell estate. I didn't call. I didn't warn. I just drove, fists white on the wheel. When someone tries to erase your daughter, you stop asking for permission. The gate recognized my plate. Opened automatically. Of course it did. You don't expect your own to turn on you. I pulled up to the main entrance. Lights still on. No party. No staff in sight. Just the old Tudor house glowing like a cathedral of control. The door was unlocked. Inside, the silence was heavier than when it was filled with music. The kind of silence that waits for you to speak first and then uses it against you. Footsteps above. Then she appeared at the top of the staircase. Margaret Wynne Hartwell. My mother. Cashmere sweater. Pearls.
Nos shoes.
She looked at me like I was a raccoon dragging blood into her foyer. You should have called. You should have warned me you'd rather see your granddaughter dead than risk a scandal. She didn't flinch. Is this about the party again? I stepped forward. Tossed the folded paper onto the nearest table. The one I found in the elevator. The one that said Emma was never meant to matter. She glanced at it. Didn't even touch it. I see Claire's been helping you dig.
She has.
Just like someone helped you forge my insurance cancellation. Leanne. You submitted it using the Hartwell Foundation Access Portal. That made her blink. Small crack. You always had such potential. she said softly. But you never understood what it meant to protect something bigger than yourself.
Især det her.
You're not protecting legacy. You're laundering guilt. Her hand rested on the banister, the way someone grips a weapon that no one else can see. This family has survived 3 generations of war, scandal, and market crashes, she said. And you were the one thing we didn't plan for. There it was. The real reason. You didn't just cut off my insurance. You buried Emma's diagnosis before the school caught it. A pause. Then, had I not intervened, she would have been flagged for special services. It would have followed her. Followed you. Followed us. She's not a headline mother. She's a child. She gave me the look I hadn't seen since I was 16 and refused to speak at the women's gala. Cold, disappointed, and calculating. Do you know what happens to trusts if genetic defects are declared? She said. Inheritance freezes. Review boards intervene. Our entire estate could be contested. I laughed. Small. Broken. So, you decided to what? Let her die quietly?
No.
I simply created space for you to make a choice. Don't wrap cowardice in velvet. She stepped closer. You can still walk away from this. We'll say it was a clerical error. Settle privately. Nobody has to know. I already sent the audio file to 3 reporters. One of them is live streaming it tomorrow. Her eyes went flat. You think this will bring you justice? I don't care about justice. I care about truth. A long silence. Then her voice dropped to something colder. She doesn't look like a Hartwell. Not really. There it was. The cut meant to bleed. But she didn't see the recording pen in my pocket, the live mic already transmitting to Claire's drive. I stepped back. Goodbye, Mother. The front door slammed louder than I expected. The wind caught it just right. My heart pounded in my throat. Outside, my phone buzzed. New message. No contact info.
Live feed.
I tapped it.
Emma.
Her room. Still. Then the door behind her creaked open. A figure stepped inside. Not Evan. Not Wynne. Someone else. Unfamiliar. But they didn't hesitate. They moved straight for her 4-line. They didn't look at the camera. Didn't check the door. Didn't expect me to be watching in real time. I broke into a sprint. If they touched her, she won't take my daughter and walk away. Not this time. I don't remember the drive back to the hospital. Only red lights. Sirens somewhere far away. My breath loud in my ears. The city streaking past like it wanted to outrun what was coming. When I burst through the yard doors, everything slowed. Security shouted. A gurney rolled by. Someone dropped a clipboard. For half a second, the world tilted, then snapped back into place. ICU. 3rd floor. I barked, already moving. No one stopped me. They never do when you look like you've already lost everything.
Cut.
Emma's room was empty. The bed stripped. Monitors dark.
The 4-stand gone.
My vision tunneled.
No. Iuwi sparat. No, no, no.
A nurse rushed in.
Mang.
Where is she? The nurse hesitated. Too long. She was transferred. Transferred where? She swallowed. Private wing. Hartwell Children's Foundation authorization. Of course. My phone buzzed. 1 bar of signal. A message loaded, slow as a death sentence. Rooftop access granted. ETA, 47 minutes. They weren't hiding anymore.
Cut.
I ran. Down the hall. Past the nurse's station. Through a stairwell that smelled like bleach and old fear. My shoes slipped on the concrete steps. I didn't slow down. A saying crossed my mind, something I'd once read and never understood until now. When the truth comes out, it doesn't knock. It kicks the door in. The private wing sat behind a glass corridor. Keycard access. 2 guards. Suits, not uniforms. Distraction first. Reveal second. I turned the corner hard, slammed into a crash cart, sent it clattering. Alarms chirped. A nurse yelled. While they looked left, I went right. Through the fire door. Into the service corridor.
Cut.
The elevator waited at the end of the hall. I jammed the button. Footsteps behind me. Leanne. I turned. Evan. My brother looked wrecked. Tie loose. Eyes red. Hands shaking. Get out of my way, I said. Mom's gone too far, he said fast. I didn't know about the transfer. I swear. You were in her room, I snapped. I saw the footage. He flinched. She made me. She said if I didn't cooperate, she'd destroy me. Fabricated charges. Photos. A donor scandal. She already planted the story. He laughed hollow. She taught us all the same lesson. Power is the only inheritance that matters. The elevator dinged. I stepped inside. He followed. Help me, Evan, I said. For once in your life, choose the right side. He stared at the floor.
The doors closed. Cut.
The elevator crawled upward. Each floor number felt like a countdown. Evan spoke without looking at me. There's something else. What? She didn't plan to kill Emma. I turned on him. Then what the hell do you call this? She planned to erase her. New identity. New records. Offshore medical trust. Quiet adoption. You'd be declared unfit. Grief-stricken. Unstable. My chest tightened. She told me some people don't disappear because they die, he continued. They disappear because they're inconvenient. I thought of my mother's calm voice.
Her tea.
Her pearls. A truth landed hard. Cruelty doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers policies. The elevator stopped. Rooftop.
Cut.
Wind slammed into us as the doors opened. Rain lashed sideways. The city sprawled below, all glass and shadow. The helicopter idled at the far end, blades slicing the air. A pilot waited. 2 guards stood watch. And between them,
Emma.
Bundled, asleep, small against the storm. My legs nearly gave out. I stepped forward. Stop, a guard barked. I raised my hands.
Slow.
Deliberate. I'm her mother. A voice cut through the rain.
Calm. Familiar.
Not for much longer. Margaret stood by the helicopter door, hair pulled back, coat immaculate despite the storm. She held a folder. Custody documents. Psychiatric affidavits.
Pre-signed.
You taught me something once, I said, shouting over the blades. That the future belongs to those who control the narrative. Her lips curved. I'm glad you listened. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Press play. Her voice filled the rooftop. Recorded.
Clear.
Had I not intervened, she would have ruined everything. The guards hesitated. Margaret's eyes flicked to the phone. Turn that off. It's live, I said. Multiple outlets. Cloud-backed. You always said redundancy is the backbone of power. She took a step toward me. Behind her, the city watched. Helicopter blades slowed. Sirens rose below. Evan moved to my side. For the first time, my mother looked afraid. I leaned into the wind and whispered, steady as a vow. She won't take my daughter and walk away. Not this time. The cuffs clicked shut around Margaret's wrists. Rain still lashed the rooftop as officers moved in, fast and efficient. Her silence was colder than the steel. Not a scream. Not a denial. Just the tight smile of a woman who thought she'd be untouchable forever. Power doesn't protect you from truth. It only delays the consequences. Emma stirred in the medic's arms. She was safe.
Cut.
I signed 3 documents under emergency custody law. The same pen my mother tried to steal my child with now protected her. Irony tastes better when served in ink and silence. Inside the ambulance, Emma's eyes fluttered open. Small. Blinking. Alive. Mommy, she whispered. I'm here, baby. And this time, no one was going to take me from her.
Cut.
1 week later, the world exploded. News broke across every outlet. Ex-Senator Margaret Holt arrested in child trafficking probe. Financial fraud. Embezzlement. Forced institutionalization. All of it tied together. What saved us wasn't just one video or one brave act. It was exposure. Sunlight on rot. There's a saying, I told the reporter who begged for the exclusive. You can lie to everyone, but not forever. Sooner or later, the lie turns on you. She printed it in bold.
Cut.
Evan came clean. He filed an official deposition. Shared everything. The forged records. The financial pipelines from a Holt trust into offshore accounts. He lost his title at AMC, but gained his soul back. Sometimes being the good son, he told me, just means you kept your head down. I'm tired of being quiet. So was I.
Cut.
I moved us out of the city. New place. New name on the mailbox. Not to hide, but to breathe. Emma recovered in pieces. First, the nightmare stopped. Then, the questions faded. Eventually, she laughed again. I didn't take that sound for granted. Why do bad people do bad things? She asked one night. Because they're afraid of losing something, I said. Usually something they never deserved in the first place. She nodded like she understood. Maybe she did.
Cut.
In court, Margaret pled not guilty. But the evidence wasn't paper, it was blood.
Meaning?
Emma's. Dozens of others. Victims she tried to erase because they threatened her legacy. The judge ordered a full psychiatric evaluation. I didn't attend every session. Just the last.
She didn't look at me when I entered.
Didn't flinch when the jury declared her mentally competent and criminally guilty. Only when I walked past her table, toward the exit, did she speak. You think you won, Leanne? I turned slowly. No, I said. Emma did.
Cut.
At the foundation gala that fall, they honored whistleblowers, survivors, those who fought systems designed to silence them. I didn't want the microphone. But Emma squeezed my hand. Tell them, she whispered. Tell them what happens when they fight back. So I stood.
Took a breath.
And said, justice isn't clean. It's not elegant. It's brutal. It claws its way out. But if you hold your ground, just 1 inch, it'll find you.
Cut.
That night, I stood by the window of our new home. Outside, the wind moved through the trees like breath. Emma slept soundly down the hall. I thought about what I lost, parents, illusions, safety. But what I gained? Truth. And something bigger than revenge.
Peace.
Because when they chose not to save her life, they thought they'd buried me. But what they really did was set me free.